It's your host, Dr. Morgan, and I am so excited for today's episode. We are going to get right down to it. So I hope you're ready. This is going to be a short but powerful episode. I think there's a lot of you out there that really need to hear this. So I am going to talk about being addicted to chaos in our relationships. And I'm going to talk about when a dysfunctional relationship dynamic is your norm and how do we move out of that? What are the first steps we can take? And I'm going to also kind of give you a way to identify if that's you. So here's a fact. A lot of us did not grow up in perfect households. And I don't even want to say perfect because perfect doesn't exist, but a lot of us didn't grow up in households with secure attachment, with stable caregivers, with clear boundaries and clear communication and expectations being set. We didn't grow up with stability. We didn't grow up with that caregiver where we knew that we could go to them and we knew that we'd be supported and we were encouraged to express our needs, right? So a lot of us, you might look at your childhood and go, oh, it was okay. It was pretty good. There was nothing terrible. And you could still grow up in an emotionally dysfunctional household that did not serve you for creating healthy adult relationships. So I'm going to invite you to listen to this list. And this list has been used, it's literally called the laundry list. And this is going to go over some traits that you might experience if you grew up in a dysfunctional household. So, once again, known as the laundry list, children of dysfunctional homes can experience, and there's quite a few things here, but see how many of these you identify with. They can become isolated, so isolated from others. You might fear people and authority figures, become an approval seeker, be frightened of angry people, be terrified of personal criticism. You may yourself become an alcoholic or marry one or both. You may view life as a victim. Ooh, that's a tough one to acknowledge. There's a lot of people that do, but they won't acknowledge that that's how they view life. We can come back to that. The list continues, y'all. You may have an overwhelming sense of responsibility, may be concerned more with other people than yourself. You might feel guilty when you stand up for yourself. You may become addicted to excitement. So bookmark that. You may confuse love and pity. You might find yourselves loving people who need rescuing. You might stuff your feelings, aka numb your emotions, which we talk about on this podcast. You might lose ability to feel. You might have low self-esteem, might judge yourself harshly, become terrified of abandonment, do anything to hold on to a relationship, become what's called a para-alcoholic or someone who takes on the characteristics of the disease without actually drinking. You might become reactionary instead of taking action and being proactive. So this laundry list, it came from research on children of alcoholics, right? Adult children of alcoholics. However, what we know is a dysfunctional household can look a lot of ways. So it wasn't just if your parent was an alcoholic. There's ways that you can experience neglect. Maybe you simply had a parent that was suffering from mental illness, or maybe a parent that was wrapped up in their own relationship dysfunctional dynamics, a parent that simply had no model for what a healthy relationship looked like, and they tried and they did their best, and there's still ways that they failed you and were unable to tune into you and provide secure attachment. So while there's some of you listening who, yes, you had a parental figure that was an alcoholic, some of you, it may not have been alcoholism. It may just have been a dysfunctional parent relationship. So I want to go back. Did you notice how one of the things it listed was addicted to chaos? And I talk about this often in our relationship life, that we can become addicted to chaos, and we can develop a relationship template, which is your blueprint for how you go about relationships. But we develop this template that love is unpredictable, love is chaotic, that I won't be able to know if someone's going to be there for me, that I have to work really hard to earn love, or whatever it is that you have to do in order to be loved, right? So this relationship template, when it's developed at a young age and you have this addiction to chaos, what do you think happens in your adult romantic relationships, right? We take our childhood unfinished business and we apply it into our adult relationships. We carry it over and project it onto our current romantic partners. And if we aren't careful, if we don't acknowledge what's happened, if we don't understand, which a lot of you tuning into this podcast, clearly you are all about self-awareness and growth, but there's so many of us that just never have the awareness that we have this addiction to chaos, that this is our relationship template. What happens is you just play out the same relationship dynamics over and over and over, right? So here's the thing. I say that a lot. I've listened to some of my podcasts because I'm looking for themes. I'm doing podcast research right now on what do people need and what's most liked. So by the way, shoot me a DM if you are like, hey, I want you to talk more about XYZ. Send me a DM on Instagram because I am doing research right now. I want to make this podcast the absolute best for you. So DM me, Dr. Morgan Coaching. I want your feedback. But I've been listening, and it seems like I always say, here's the deal, here's the thing. But I say that because I want you to take away this key point. Okay. So here's the thing that I want you to take away. Your childhood is not your fault. Your parents did the best they could, and there's ways that they failed you, right? And you were not born and deciding to develop an anxious attachment style or to develop a trauma-based relationship blueprint. You didn't come out of the womb and decide that. Yes, it happened to you. Your childhood is not your fault. You deserve so much compassion for whatever it was that you went through. And at the same time, how you show up now as an adult is your responsibility. So it's not your fault what happened to you. And at the same time, it is now your responsibility to decide, what do you want your life and relationships to look like? No one is coming to save you, right? I feel like some of us unconsciously have this idea that, once we meet the perfect person, our life will be great and all of our trauma will go away. No one is coming to save you. It is your responsibility to take absolute radical ownership over the life that you want. And I want to speak to you. I was talking to the women who did the 3-day challenge that we had, the Embody the One challenge, and we had so many people registered, over 300 people on this challenge, right? And I was getting pretty emotional, and I'm going to share with you what I was telling them. The idea that sometimes you have to be the one for your family. You might be the only one in your family, in your friend group, in your whole little community where you are in the world. You might be the one that is deciding to heal, that is deciding to intentionally create their life and relationships. And I have been there. I am absolutely the one in my family where I decided that my past relationships, that the dynamics modeled in my family were not right for me, and that I was going to create the life and relationships that I want, right? And sometimes when you're the one and you have all these people around you that are just doing it the way it's always been done, or it feels really comfortable to just continue your same habits. All your friends are still binge drinking on the weekends and watching Netflix and talking about how all these men are trash and everybody's emotionally unavailable and none of these people will commit. So let's just have a girls' trip and drink, right? Like, if that is your environment and you're having to go fight against that and stand up for yourself and decide to heal in spite of your environment, I see you. I get it. I know it's tough. I know it's hard to be the one. However, you are so deserving of what is on the other side of that decision. You are the only one living your life. You are the only one who will get the benefits, the outcomes, everything that's available to you, right? You are the only one that can give that to yourself. And you deserve to be different, to take a different path, to set boundaries, to eliminate the friends that are toxic, or to say no to the dates that you know don't serve you, to stand up for yourself and commit to investing in your healing, even if no one in your life has done it, even if your parents said that therapy was for crazy people, or even if your friends are like, coaching, what's coaching, right? Like, no matter who has said whatever they've said about your journey, like, none of that external stuff matters. All that matters is that you are willing to invest in yourself and you're willing to commit to a beautiful future. You're willing to commit to a compelling future. The biggest motivator in our lives as humans is desire. And there's so many of us that have just given up, that we've disconnected from our desire. And we may still be alive, but we might as well be dead. Like, that's a large, large portion of people. They just have given up on wanting anything different. But I want you to know that doesn't have to be you. You can be the one. You can be the one that decides to heal. And the beautiful thing is when people make this decision, eventually it has a domino effect to all the people around them and all the people in their lives and all of their family members. I have had clients tell me that, wow, I did the Empowered Secure Love program and it's been a year, and I can tell you that I have single-handedly gotten my family back together. We are sitting down having dinner once a week, even though we hadn't spoken for 4 years prior to me doing the program. Now we have dinner together once a week as a family unit. And it's all because I decided to heal, right? Or I have people talk to me about, I never had a model for a healthy relationship. And because of this work that I've done inside of the ESL program, because of that, my son will now know what a healthy relationship looks like. And he's 9 years old, and he can tell that his mom is happy, that she's confident, that she knows that she's worthy of healthy, securely attached love. Kids feel that, right? I am always amazed. My niece and nephew, they are 6 years old, almost 6 and almost 4. They pick up on everything. Kids can tell. They can tell how you feel. They're so perceptive. They feel your emotions, right? So the women who are single moms and they're going through the program and they tell me the stories of their kids noticing how their energy has shifted and how they've changed, that always gets me. I'm emotional right now just thinking about it. Like, kids can feel this. And guess what? When you decide to heal, even if you don't have kids yet, you're deciding that it will be different for the next generation, right? Whether it's young people in your life or you eventually have kids of your own, you're deciding relationships will be different for the next generation, right? What a powerful thing to decide. And I do feel that in this day and age, there's so much awareness around healing and change, and that we can stop intergenerational patterns of trauma. And how amazing to think that you can be the one to help with that. You don't have to wait for it to happen, that you can take action, right? And I just want you to know that even if you feel like you're alone, you're not. There's a lot of people out there who are also going against the grains that are the norm for a relationship in their family. And they are fighting for something different, for something better. And here's the beautiful thing, for something that feels good. We deserve to have relationships that feel good, that add value to our lives, right? We deserve it. We do. So I want you to know that you're not alone, that you are so deserving of doing this work. And that if you identified with that list that we did in this beginning of this episode, that you will benefit from really doing some healing work. And at this time, I've helped so many women do this work. I've had my own transformation. So if you feel like this won't work for me, like, oh, maybe it works for these other people, but it won't work for me, I got news for you. Like, you're wrong. I know that this works, that when you really do commit to healing and you do this internal work and you go through the short-term pain of doing healing work, there is a completely different version of you on the other side of doing this work. So I'm cheering you on forever and always. And of course, if this spoke to you and you're like, okay, I'm ready, I'm done avoiding my healing. Okay, Dr. Morgan, I hear you. I have to take ownership. If that's you, obviously, come join us inside of the Empowered Secure Love program. You do have to apply because we are not the right fit for everyone. So we want to make sure that it's the right fit. And that application process is super easy. It takes about 5 minutes. You can use the link inside of my Instagram bio, Dr. Morgan Coaching. There'll also be a link in the show notes. All right, y'all, I appreciate you. I hope that you have an incredible rest of your week or day or whatever you're doing. Sleep well. I don't know what time you're listening to this, but I hope that you just take care of you and that you know that you are more than enough. And of course, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk with you soon.